Hello, everyone. Welcome. Welcome. We see the numbers climbing here. Hope you're having a good day. Welcome, everyone. Welcome. Well, welcome to Hidden Gems of the Law Library number 6. Thank you all so much for being here today. My name is Rhian, and I am a reference librarian, and I'd like to introduce my amazing colleague, Robert, who's also a reference librarian here at the San Diego Law Library. So today, we are going to speak about a few hidden gems that we hope that you'll find useful. So before we get started, I would like to go over a few bits of housekeeping. So first thing, this is a CLE presentation. So for those of you watching live today, you will get a certificate of attendance by email once we verify who actually attended. So if you are attending today's session by audio only and you dialed in to a phone number, please send us an email with your name, phone number, and bar number only if you're joining us by audio and you dialed in. Also, if you did not receive a handout prior to this class, please email the reference desk at sdlawlibrary.org and then we'll send one out to you. Also, if you are watching a recording of this video on YouTube, unfortunately, we do not provide certificates for recordings, but you can access the self-study log on the State Bar's website, and there's a link in the description box below. Okay, so back to those of you who are watching live on Zoom today. This is an interactive session, and we ask you to ask us questions. So at the bottom of your screen, you'll see a little square chat box with a question mark in it for the Q&A function. You can ask questions with your name or anonymously, whatever you feel more comfortable with. We do hope to get to most of the questions by the end of the presentation. And finally, when the session is over, you will see a link to a survey. So if you can, please just take a moment, fill it out, and we do greatly appreciate your feedback. Well, that's what I have for now, and we'll turn things over to Robert to start the presentation.
Thank you so much, Rhian, and welcome again, everyone. We are very excited to see so many people here with us who are interested in our hidden gems and the resources that we have here at the San Diego Law Library. Okay. As you may know, we have thousands upon thousands of resources here at the Law Library, from print to microfiche to online resources. This presentation, however, will cover just a few of the many resources that we have available. And as a disclaimer, some of the resources that we discuss here today may be free and available online, but others will require visiting our library or using our databases. Okay. If you haven't been to the San Diego Law Library yet, we welcome you to stop by and visit. Our hours are Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., and we are closed on court holidays. If you have something pressing that you need to research on the weekends, we also have partnership libraries with Chula Vista, Escondido, and El Cajon Public Libraries. We have 2 computers at each location with some of our law library databases on them. But exactly which database depends on the location. You can view on our website under Partner Location to see which databases are available and at which library. Additionally, we also have law librarians that visit our partnership libraries twice a month, and you can view the hours also on our website. Just a note, beginning in March, the Escondido Public Library will be closed for renovations until further notice. We also have virtual services where you can email us or call us with reference questions, and we will respond to you promptly. With that said, I'll turn it back over to Rhian.
Thank you so much, Robert. All right, so the first hidden gem we'd like to share with you today is It Admissible by Ashley Lipsum. This is a great find. The author goes into amazing detail about evidence and what is and what isn't admissible, as well as covering objections. So whether you are prepping for trial or currently in trial, this book is a must read. It's succinct, easy to read and very thorough. Is It Admissible is published by James Publishing, and it is only available in print at the library. Unfortunately, it is not currently available in digital format. And the book is located on the first floor in our back stacks. Next slide, please. So the book is separated into 4 parts. Part 1 is testimonial evidence, Part 2, documentary evidence, Part 3, real evidence, and 4, demonstrative evidence. So we scan the table of the summary of the table of contents here so you can see what is outlined in each chapter. And as you can see, it is quite packed with a lot of information. So let's take documentary evidence. For example, it covers the basics of documentary evidence, governmental documents, private sector, business records, personal documents, published writings, and legal documents. Next slide, please. So let's dig in a little deeper into chapter 23 of documentary evidence, which goes into personal documents. So here it includes the introduction, foundations, opposition, and the specific types of documents. So you have diary entries, email and text messages, telephone bills, and web postings and social media. Some of the highlights of Is It Admissible is the fact that it focuses on the specific type of evidence rather than a legal theory. It's useful whether you're admitting or opposing evidence. One of my favorite parts of the book is where it compares federal and state law, and it has a detailed breakdown. So, for example, hearsay, the chapter on hearsay for hearsay exceptions. So, the spontaneous and contemporaneous declaration, the federal rules of evidence, 8032, it compares it with the California Evidence Code 1240. And it explains that it's California's law is broader than the federal law because there's no specific requirement to be startling. So if you are pro hoc vice or you practice in a different state, there are comparisons with 26 states, including Nevada, Oregon, Texas, and Ohio. Additional highlights are it contains over 1,200 cases with citations. It covers civil and criminal law. And the appendix goes over responding to objections, such as objections to form, as to substance, and foolish objections. Next slide, please. And so, Is It Admissible is a companion to Guerrilla Discovery that we covered in Hidden Gems 5. And it's also here at the library and not available in digital format. And it's by the same author, Ashley Lipsome. So if you're interested in learning more about Guerrilla Discovery and Is It Admissible, you're more than welcome to come in. And yeah, I'll turn it over to Robert.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Rhian. Our next hidden gem is one that was inspired by one of our ProPer patrons. This is our CEB action guide on preparing for trial. Now, CEB stands for Continuing Education of the Bar. CEB has more than 120 regularly updated practice guides and also publishes books on law practice management topics. This particular guide lays out specifics as to how to prepare for your trial. Yeah. So, in the essence of time, we've highlighted the table of contents to briefly go through what to expect from this particular guide. And because the type is very small on our slide here, I've noted some key chapters for you to take a look at. So on the left, you'll notice some of the chapters, and I've highlighted Management Conference at the top, Preparing for Trial, which is in the middle, and 20 days before trial. These are all the steps that this particular guide takes you through when you're preparing for your trial. Okay. The great thing about this guide is that it takes you through all of the potential steps you may need to process a successful trial or successful litigation. For instance, preparing for trial goes through the process of settlement conferences, notification of insurance carriers, and actual communications with your with your client, how to communicate with your client, what to say, what not to say. Okay. You'll also notice in the back the appendices at the end of the guide, which note very detailed and useful checklists such as trial preparation, arbitration prep. There are templates such as deposition case management statements, and there are other sample documents as well. You'll be able to find this guide right here at the San Diego Law Library. Just come in and ask one of the reference librarians, and we'll be happy to get this guide for you. Now, we're going to move on to one of my favorites, Lexis Plus. Okay. So our next hidden gem is Lexis Plus. Personally, I tend to gravitate toward Lexis Plus, probably because of all the bells and whistles and the fancy colors. But it's also a really robust platform for legal research. Okay, so let's start with the Lexis Plus homepage. You'll notice their new homepage looks much different than Lexis Advanced, which was their previous iteration. We're going to concentrate for this presentation, we're going to concentrate on the left sidebar where the yellow arrows are, where you'll notice the navigation icons. These link to various landing pages on the platform for your particular legal research. So you'll notice there the icons, it has legal research, which is in red. It allows you for some research on practical guidance, litigation analysis, document analysis, and it also has a platform for a legal news hub, which is very much like your CNN platforms, your Fox News platforms, if you're so inclined. But this is all based on legal news, so that's very helpful for your research. Okay. So as we know, when we're conducting legal research, we want to start with the basics. I've noted our chart on the components of legal research right here. So you'll notice you'll have your pre-research problem analysis. You then want to go to your secondary sources. After your secondary sources, you want to look to case law and statutes, regulations. That's your primary authority or primary law. And then you want to validate and expand all the information that you've gleaned from the previous components. Okay. So if we wanted to conduct legal research on Lexis Plus, we would click on that. If we go back to that red icon that said legal research, right? So here in this slide, we've clicked that icon of legal research. And we are looking at the tabs to start our queries. You'll notice that when we can begin our search by focusing on specific areas of interest. We can search within state, federal, international, practice area, and beyond. You'll notice on this slide that we are currently placed on the practice area tab and deciding on which area of practice to focus our query. Right? So you'll see administrative law, we can concentrate on family law, patent law. You can go right in rather than just going in and trying to just type in many different queries. You can focus in, if you want to focus on federal, focus on state. In this practice area, if we want to focus in on government contracts, we can go in and the algorithm will look for all your keywords within, let's say, government contracts. All your keywords will focus in on case law or secondary sources that have to do with government contracts. Okay. So let's see. Nope, not that one. So what we're going to do now, I'm going to leave you here with this tab, and we're going to go to Lexis Plus in real time. Okay. Rhian, you can see that, right? Okay, great. Okay. So this is Lexis Plus. We are in real time now. Put on your seatbelts. We're going in, and we're going to go to one of my favorite cases. When I was teaching legal research, I would or giving Lexis presentations, I would always go to Litchfield versus Cox, an old 1966 case from North Carolina. So we've got that in our search bar. We know what case we're looking for, and let's go ahead in. Okay. What happened? That's interesting. Okay, let's try it again. Let's do it live, Rhian. We're live, and those things happen, right? Okay, so here we go. Litchfield versus Cox. That wasn't such a bad glitch. It was okay. So here you go. You have your we have our case, right? That pretty much looks like Lexis Advance, right? However, when we go in, let's click into it. Let's notice some things. Now, Lexis Plus has a lot going on here. And so I want to direct you first to this little thing. I'm not sure. Can they see my cursor, Rhian?
Yeah, they can see the cursor.
Okay, good. Okay. So this is your Lexis treatment flag. And it's green, so universally green is always good, right? It means greens go. But let's say you don't know what that is. And you're just assuming, okay, well, it's green, it must be good, but I'm not sure. So let's find out what this means. You can scroll your cursor over this and it'll say positive treatment is indicated, right? That's one way to find out, or we can click onto it. Okay. Now, we're still in Litchfield versus Cox, but you'll notice you see the Shepherd citing decisions, right? What we want to do is we want to scroll down and you'll see this little tab here that says legend, right? Let's go ahead and click on that. And you'll notice this has all the Lexis treatment or Shepherd signal indicators, which is what that little green flag was. And this legend tells you exactly what, when you pull up a case and you see these indicators or these flags, it'll tell you exactly what they are. So we're going to scroll down here. You'll notice and with Lexis Plus, they've added many other flags. There used to be, way back when, there were, I think, maybe 4 or 5. It was like, green is good, red is bad, yellow is like, we don't know, right? Now they've expanded on these, and now you have the red warning sign. It looks like a stop sign. Then they have another little bit of a warning sign, right? The red Shepherd sign indicates same reference in Shepherd site contains strong negative treatment of the section, right? Which is a little different than this one. So this was overruled, and this may have been found unconstitutional. They have questionable, and ours was positive treatment indicated. So you can go ahead and look at that and see where your case stands. Okay, so I always have trouble finding out how to get out of this. There we are. Okay, all right. Okay, now the other thing I want to tell you about is in Lexis Plus. If we go back to the document, you'll see these tabs at the top of the case here, right? So we're in document. We go to citing decisions. It says Shepherd's list of decisions citing your case. Okay, so there were 14. You have the little number there. We can click on that and we can see all the cases that cited Litchfield versus Cox. Okay, and there were 14 there. We can see the history of this particular case. And when you're doing research, this is a really important tab because it shows the history of your case, the family of which it came from, where it stemmed from, especially if you're doing an appellate case or a Supreme Court case, right? So this was not appealed, so that's your main case there. Your other citing sources. So these were other sources that somehow cite Litchfield versus Cox. Now these don't have to be cases. These can be treatises. These can be law journals. You can see here, this is a law review that cited Litchfield versus Cox. All right. And these are the cases that Litchfield cited. These are the table of authorities that were important in the decision and the disposition of Litchfield versus Cox at when it was adjudicated. Okay. So those are just some of the new bells and whistles that Lexis Plus has to offer. Again, I want to reiterate that we have law librarians here at the San Diego Law Library that can help you navigate Lexis Plus if you're not used to it. And also, I know Rhian likes Westlaw, so if you want to go to Westlaw too, you can do that as well. But I digress. So I'm going to leave it there, and I'm going to turn this back over to Rhian.
Thank you so much, Robert. And thank you for going over Lexis Plus. And I am a huge fan of Lexis Plus, but I still do have love for Westlaw for sure.
We appreciate it.
All right. So another hidden gem that we would like to highlight is CCH Answer Connect. This is by Walters Kluwer, and this is a great resource for those of you who practice tax law, or if you are a solo practitioner and you're looking to find great business tax information. So a few highlights we want to share is that it is available here at the law library. And if you are a part of our borrowers program, you can access this database remotely from your home or your office. They have great federal and state tax resources such as smart charts, toolkits, checklists. They have sample federal and state client letters. They also have access to the CCH Tax Prep Partner Series. You can track tax-related bills. And they have a really cool feature where you can also view international tax news articles, which I thought was kind of cool. You can customize a tax calendar, and you can customize it by the state, the tax type, and also by when the fiscal year ends. You'll also have access to the U.S. Tax Master Series with the tax guide, depreciation guide, and the estate and gift tax guide. So now I'm going to show you the CCH Answer Connect database. So I'm going to start here at our homepage. So if you are here at the law library, or you are a borrower and you want to access it from home, you would go to Research, Databases, and if you're here at the library, you would just click straight through to CCH Answer Connect. But if you are at home, here are the instructions, and you would just press this link here, and you would go straight to a page where you would enter in your borrower's number. Robert, are you able to see it okay?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay. All right, so let's go into CCH Answer Connect. All right. So here you'll see the tabs that we have access to. I think there are different versions of CCH Answer Connect that may have different features that are available, but this is what we have here at the library. So you'll have access to federal tax, state tax, news, and where it combines the three into one. So let's start at federal tax. So as we spoke before, you'll have access to all federal tax, the CCH Tax Prep Partner Series, also the Master Tax Series. So you'll have the tax guide, depreciation, estate, and gift tax guide. You have some tax tools, journals, treatises, and federal tax archives. This section here, we don't have access to, and that's why it's grayed out here. In the middle, we'll have the federal tax legislation highlights, and then emerging issues and tax reform. And here are the federal client letters. And then you can track different types of bills and the calendar that you can customize. Over to the state tax. Here you have the smart charts, state tax law, state tax laws and regulations, again, similar to the federal. the tax tools, journals, treatises, and the state tax archives. You'll have access to legislation highlights and emerging issues. They do have some videos that look really cool. And then as well as state tax client letters and the calendar. Onto the news. Again, we don't have access to the client impact. It is grayed out, but we do have access to the federal and state highlights, the latest tax briefing, international tax news, one of my favorites. So if you want to know what's going on in the Bahamas or Vietnam, this is a great place to look. There's the CCH Answer Connect Insights. Again, some more videos, AI and tax accounting. That's probably going to be a hot button issue. And you can also look at newsletters and from their partners. So I think we have time. I do want to show you a smart chart. So let's go to smart charts. So let's just say you have a practice here in California and then another practice in Ohio, and you want to know more information about the business income tax, but you want to do them both at the same time and kind of compare and contrast to make sure that you've got your documents and your ducks all in a row. So we're going to click here for the jurisdiction for California, and then we're going to check the box for Ohio, and then we're going to check business income tax, and then view results. And so here it's like you have a list of different areas of interest that you might want to know. Do you need to know if there is a physical presence requirement? California and Ohio are both no. And then you get a comment from CCH from their experts, as well as the relevant citations for California and Ohio. And then CCH also has their own information guides on that. And then you can just kind of go down. So if you have a partnership, an LLP or an LLC, let's click here. So here you can see that this column is the same as this gray column here. So for California, it tells you what you need to do for your partnership, LLP or LLC. And then in Ohio, it looks like it's something different. A few comments, the relevant citations, and the CCH explanations. So I'm going to click here really quickly to the CCH explanation. Take a second here. And so this gives explanations on returns and payments in general. You have quite a bit of information here. You have statutes. It's working. It's thinking. Let's see if regulation shows anything. I think I'm clicking too fast. But yeah, so you have your regulations here. You have cases and rulings, forms and certificates that you can download, and then also the instructions, and then more tools and smart charts. Okay, so that's what I have for CCH Answer Connect. And if you have any questions, please feel free to send a question in the Q&A, or you can email the reference desk if you have a question at a later time. So I'm going to turn this over to Robert.
Wow, that was really informative. Thank you, Rhian. I appreciate that. No, I was just pondering what you just told everyone. It's like I need to check that out.
It's good. It's a good resource.
It's very helpful. Okay. So what are we doing next? Did you finish sharing, Rhian?
Yes, I stopped sharing.
You did. Okay. All right. So let me get over here and let me share my screen here. Let's see. One moment here. Where are we? Let's see. I think. Let's see. So are you seeing Library of Congress? Good.
Yes.
Okay, great. We're on the same page. All right. Okay. I don't know how I'm going to follow what you just did, Rhian. I don't know. I have to follow that. Imagine me working with her as well. Okay, so um, we're gonna have some fun here. All right. So I've gone over our CEB action guide that we have here in the law library. I've gone over Lexis Plus, another database that we have here in the library, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to think outside of the box, and I was trying to think of what other platforms could a practitioner utilize that may not come up in terms of legal research. And what I like to show everyone is the Library of Congress. As you can see, it was scrolling back and forth here. And the Library of Congress is a federal cultural institution. It's the world's biggest library, and features tours, talks, and concerts. And so why is this a hidden gem for attorneys, practitioners? Why would we look to the Library of Congress? Okay, one, it's the library of the nation. It's got all kinds of information. So if you're practicing and you want to get some information, maybe international, you want to get some local information, the Library of Congress is a really good platform. So how would you research in the Library of Congress, right? So we go to here at our homepage. What you want to do is when you go to www.loc.gov, very simple, you go down to more. Okay, so we're going to click on there. Okay. And Rhian, again, you're seeing this, right? Rhian? Yes. Okay, great. Okay. So you click on more. You want to go down to law library, right? So Library of Congress has a law library section. Okay. We're going to click on law library. Now, this is the law library platform. I think it's really, really useful that the Library of Congress is always open to actual phone calls and not just emails. You know, when they say contact us, it's always an email or something, you know, like, can I speak to a human being? Well, you can always ask a librarian. You can call them at the 202 number in Washington, D.C., right? But since we're on the law library site, what we want to do here is we want to go to these tabs and we want to click on researcher resources. So let's do that. All right. Now we have a nice rotunda here. Nice touch. Again, the sidebar, and I was remiss in not mentioning this with Lexis Plus. Always pay attention to the sidebars on the left. Even whenever you're searching anything, there's usually on the left sidebar, there's usually something for filtering your searches. So, you know, you start off very broad, and then you go to the left sidebar, and you can usually filter by relevance, by date, by category. So just as a side note, just always make sure to have your gaze go to the left sidebar, because there's a lot of good information always in the margins. So here in our researcher resources platform at the Library of Congress, you have your research guides, guide to law online. You have congress.gov, right, for all your legislative research information, databases, and of course it's the government, so you're going to have something in Latin. You're just going to have something in Latin. There's always something in Latin, right? Don't ask me what this means. I think it just means somebody's a custodian for something, but that's just me. Okay, I digress. So what do we want to do here? We want to navigate. So we're going to go to Guide to Law Online, okay, because that's going to be relevant for us. So here's your Guide to Law Online, and we can either search nations of the world or the United States. Okay, so we want the United States. Okay, as you can see here, Law Online, Alabama, Alaska. And this is all alphabetical, obviously. Here's California. But what I want to do is I want to go up to the search tab, to the search bar, and I want to type in California, because That's where we are. Hey, how about that? Yesterday, when we were going over this, I typed in California, and it took us about 20 minutes for this thing to load up. And today, because we're having this presentation, it just popped right up, you know. I wish I could take credit for that, but you know, it just luck of the draw. But hopefully it'll do the same for you. So California. So again, what did I mention before? That left sidebar, okay? So if you notice, what do we have here? We have over almost 3,800 periodicals, 2,100 books, tons of things, right? 6,000 images. What I want to do is I want to break this down a little bit. So I'm going to filter this to something more recent. So let's go to 2000 to 2026. Okay. So everything here, all your results are going to be within the years 2000 and up to 2026. Maybe they can see the future. I don't know. I'm not sure what is 2026. We're not there yet, but hey, if the Library of Congress says we can go to 2026, who am I to dispute that? So what's relevant here? So everything here is California based. Okay. Now, why am I bringing this up to you? Because this is very broad, and I know with this presentation, we don't have a lot of time to really dig really deep into the details. However, I will say this. For a practitioner, having all types of information at your disposal is really helpful. And many people just don't think to look into national databases. And the Library of Congress is a very rich database. It might help with your exhibits. It might help with just any kind of litigation. If you have expert testimony, it could be buttressed by something you find in the Library of Congress. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention some of the caveats going into the Library of Congress. Now, with Lexis, Westlaw, especially with Google, right? They give you ways to really dig deep and focus in on what your queries will be, right? Here, I searched a lot for everyone here. I really did. Try to do my homework, trying to find a way that you can really, if there was a way to search within these results, right? So what you really have to do is in this search bar, you have to really be specific as to what you're looking for. You really can't go in here and search within these results. So I just want to say that as a caveat. So in terms of an overview for the Library of Congress, just letting you know it is a resource. And I'm sure many of you out there are probably way more creative than I am. So you can find a way, but this is a resource, and I just wanted to let you know this and bring this to your attention. Okay. So I guess that's about it for Library of Congress, right, Rhian? So I'm going to stop my share and you take it over.
Thank you, Robert. That's an awesome resource, and I haven't used it as much as I probably should. So thank you for that. And now I know that there's way more out there. And when we have like those hard to find reference questions, so this is definitely going to be in my repertoire to add.
Absolutely.
Thank you. All right. So the next resource I'd like to share with you has become one of my favorites. I recently found this resource and I'm super excited to share it with you. I'm a big fan of legislation and policies, like I track bills. And this website has a lot of older legislation that may be super helpful if you're doing legislative research to find legislative intent. And so as you go through the Excel sheet, which I'll show you in a couple slides, this comprehensive database or online resource was a huge collaborative effort between state agencies, universities, the Hathi Trust, and Google Books. And so here at the bottom, you'll see the URL is a little long, but with your handout, you should have the link and you can click straight to it, straight to the web page. So the documents that are contained have links to documents from 1850 to 2009. They've organized the documents by type, and here is the full list. I won't read them all to you, but as you can see, they are quite extensive to what they have available. So you have the assembly bills from 1911 to 1988, California statutes from 1849 to 2008, journals of the legislature and assembly from 1851 to 2000, and the Constitution, California Constitution specifically from 1931 to 2015. So this slide shows one of the tabs in the Excel sheet that you can download. And I'll show you that in just a few minutes here when I go to the live site. So here you'll see the start year, the assembly bills, the original and amended, and then what year and what version. And then here is a link to the Hattie Trust website. And then here is a link to Google Books. So why would you even need to go and use this resource or add it to your favorites on your web browser? Well, if you're looking to find the legislative intent of a statute, this would be a good place to go. If you're conducting legal research and you need a document that's from the mid 1800s or early 1900s, this checks the box. Are you looking for the text of a statute prior to the statute being amended? You can check this website out. Or if you're searching for an older version of the California Constitution, this is also a good place. So an example is we had a patron that came in last week. You know, he wanted to know, he wanted a version of the California Constitution prior to 1931. So either 1930 or before. So there were substantial amendments to the California Constitution in 1931, and he definitely wanted it before then. So unfortunately, the Excel sheet only started at 1931 forward, but we were able to search the Hattie Trust website that I'll show you in just a few seconds. And we were able to find the 1929 Constitution for the patron, and they were super happy. All right, so here is the website for researching older legislation from the California State Library. Here is where you would just click, and it's going to create the download for the full Excel sheet. I'm not going to open that up right now, but also you can scroll down and they'll kind of show you like the different tabs and what's available. And then also what's available on the Hattie Trust. So I'm going to go over to the Constitution that we found for the patron, and voila, here is the California Constitution from 1929. And it's also, looks like it's got appended Magna Carta, the Declaration of Rights, Declaration of Independence. So, and this was from, I'm not sure which University of California. So you can tell different, University of California. So you can tell that the universities in the state collaborated to scan these numerous older records, which is super important and great for us to have. Okay, so we're reaching the end here. So we do have honorable mentions here at the law library. Reference librarians such as myself and Robert and our colleagues, when we're not at the desk, we're also working on how do we make legal information just easily accessible and easy to understand. Sometimes we have some very complicated subjects that we try and break down to make it digestible for people of different education levels. So the first guide we like to share is starting a federal civil lawsuit. The second one is Section 8 housing, and we have more guides to come. So I'm going to take you to our homepage, and we're going to go to self-help, guides and samples, and everything here is alphabetical. So we're going to scroll down to starting a federal civil lawsuit. And you can access our guides 24/7 from your home, or if you're here at the library, and we'll show you how to navigate as well, but it's really helpful on the go. So yeah, so here is our guide on starting a federal civil lawsuit. So the first page is just an overview of um, starting a federal lawsuit in the Southern District of California, and we have tailored it specifically to the Southern District. But of course, it is applicable in other districts, but you'll have to definitely check those court rules. And the second tab is standing. So you got to have standing, case or controversy, ripeness and mootness. Here, does the federal court have jurisdiction, personal, subject matter, venue? What are the causes of action? What are the statute of limitations? How does someone start the complaint paperwork? Here we have links to like the cover sheet, the complaint form. We also have sample templates from the district courts for different reasons. How to make copies, file, and serve other parties. Here we have great resources. So we have a federal pleading paper template in different formats. So if you just have pages, you don't have Microsoft Word, we have that available for federal pleading paper as well. Resources available in the library, online resources. And there may be patrons who may not understand what certain words mean, so we do have a glossary for them here. The next guide we're going to show you, let's go back here, is our Section 8 housing. Sometimes Section 8 can be very hard to understand, just from the tenant's perspective or the landlord's perspective. So this guide is just very thorough, and it breaks down, you know, what Section 8 entails for the tenant and the landlord. So here's the scope and overview of Section 8, common terms and abbreviations for tenants. How are they even eligible to apply for Section 8? What it takes to apply, accommodations, and how to update their application. Here they have a rent calculator for the city of San Diego and then the county. They get approved for a voucher. What do they do next? So let's go to landlords. So this is a great page because it really speaks to landlords to kind of say, yeah, it's a really good idea to accept Section 8 applicants and what the benefits are. How do they list their unit? How do they lease? And then the landlord portal. So after the tenant moves in, there's information here. And then if they do have to terminate the tenancy, here's information about what the landlord needs to do. And again, we do have resources here in the library and online. Okay. Oops. So that concludes our presentation for today. We do hope that you've enjoyed our resources, and I do see some questions here. Okay, are there specific cases in the CCH tax database? Let's take a look. So here is CCH Answer Connect, and let's try US v. Smith. Okay, so it looks like there are some cases here. Let's just click this one. So it looks like there are, yes, there are cases in CCH Connect that you can search. You may need to have the specific maybe docket number or case name, but it looks like that is available. How often how often are the CCH tax related forms updated? I am not 100% sure, but let's look at a tax form. Let's see. Let me just type in 1040. Form instructions. It should say at the bottom. So this one is showing 2023. I don't have the answer to that, but if you want, you can email the ref desk and we can take a further look into that for you. Robert, I think this one here is for you. Does the Library of Congress require membership for some levels of inquiry?
That's a great question. That I'm not sure. What I would do in that situation is I would actually call that number, that 202 number that is literally on every page of their website, and contact one of the one of the librarians at the Library of Congress. That's a very good question. I'm not sure if I think it's because it's a government agency and it's public. But I'll tell you what though, I know for certain that there's some information at the Library of Congress that's only accessible through FOIA requests. So I don't think there's any amount of membership that you can get to access some of those I'm not going to say classified documents, but very sensitive documents that you have to actually make a written request to have access to. But to answer the question, I would contact the Library of Congress and call one and ask one of the librarians there.
Thank you, Robert. All right, the next question, will the PowerPoint slides be made available? You're very welcome. I'm glad that this was helpful. What we can do is when we send out your certificate, we can attach a copy of the slides for you. Okay, let's see. Wanted to confirm about the books and sources in the handout. The books contain templates along with comprehensive information regarding the trial process. So Robert, I think yours was prepping for trial.
Yes.
And then is it admissible is just determining what evidence you're trying to submit, would it be admissible? So Robert, is yours a comprehensive information on the trial process?
The CEB action guide?
Yes.
It is, in terms of comprehensive, yes. So it's designed to take the practitioner, the solo practitioner or the practitioner and takes them through step by step the process from beginning to end. And if you remember in the table of contents, it goes from 60 to 40 days before your trial, what you should do, 40 to 20 days before your trial, and then 20 to 10 days, I believe, before your trial date. It really does give you goes through the entire process. So it's a really helpful guide, and it's very hands-on. So I would say it's a subjective term, comprehensive, but I would say so, yes.
Good. Thanks, Robert.
Mhm.
And the California State Library was a helpful resource for determining legal intent. Yes. So if we go here, you're still gonna have to do some digging to find the actual legislative intent. I'm not 100% sure if they're gonna show like the process of, you know how sometimes you look at amendments or they'll have things like that've been stricken out, and then they also may have like areas where you can have comments that are made by certain legislators on why. Um, I'm not 100% if they have that, but this would probably be a good place to start if you are looking for legislative intent. If you're a part of the borrowers program, will we have remote access to CCH? Yes, you will have remote access. And I'm unsure if there is a limit to how many times you can access it. Once you're a borrower, you should be able to have, you know, access to it. Now, I do know there are certain parameters where people can't just go in and start scraping information, and that will raise a flag to Walters Kluwer, and then they'll reach out to us. But if you do run into that issue where you are trying to access it and you're not able to for some reason, then just give us a call or send us an email, and we'll work with core ops upstairs. I hope that answered your questions. Is CEB on law available remotely? Unfortunately, no. CEB is not available remotely. It is available here at the downtown library and at our public partnership library in Escondido, but Escondido is closing for repairs in March. But you know, from now until March, you can definitely go and use one of the two computers at Escondido.
And Rhian, if I could just
Mhm.
chime in here, I really appreciate that question because I remember we were going to talk about that CEB on law. So thank you for whoever asked that question. Thank you for asking that because I wanted to mention that in my presentation, but I forgot. But thank you to our viewers for reminding of that CEB is available here at the law library and at our partnership library in Escondido.
Thanks, Robert. Tax treaties with foreign countries and CCH. Let's take a look. Tax treaties. I am not sure. Purpose of treaties. It looks like this is just. Was there a specific country that you were looking for? Let's see if I add a country in there, if something comes up. Tax treaty and China. Let's see. So it looks like there is some information here, but I'm not exactly sure if you're looking for this specific treaty, but there is information regarding tax treaties. I hope that helped. Okay, do we have any more questions? No? Okay.
Well, I'm surprised no one asked what did that Latin mean in the Library of Congress. But I can tell you, I took Latin in high school, and I was almost correct. I said custody in custodius legis means in the custody of law, and just to let you know, that is the Library of Congress's blog post. So it means in the custody of law.
Awesome. Oh, and yes, there is a fee for the borrowers program for $50 a year. You can check out one item for 4 days, and then you get one renewal for an additional 4 days. At the $75 level, you can check out up to 5 books. And then you get for 4 days, and then you get 2 renewals at 4 days each.
And that's the membership for the San Diego Law Library,
Yes.
just to make that clear.
Sorry. Yes, for the law library.
They
Yes.
may have thought that was for the Library of Congress, and
Oh, no,
of course, we can't speak on that.
no.
So.
All right, and you're very welcome, Pete, and you're welcome, Charlotte. You're welcome, Olga. Any other questions? No? Okay. All right. Well, that wraps up for the You're welcome, Cheryl. Well, thank you all so much for being here with us today. And it means a lot. And we were so glad we were able to share what we learn on a daily basis from our patrons. So we hope that you'll become a borrower if you're not. And if you are a borrower, we thank you so much for supporting us, and have a wonderful weekend and Happy New Year.